Let's begin with the just concluded presidential.
Back their favored candidates, and when some people try to even show reason, they imagine that you are not a human being because you've chosen not to see things their own way. You are not a human being. If you know the rate at which people are blocking their friends of more than 20 years because of Obi and Tinubu, people who do not know you, they don't care whether you exist. You are blocking one another because of politicians. I mean, something is wrong with our young people especially. Why would you block your friend of 20 years because you disagreed? What is democracy about if we can't freely express our opinions, if we can't hold on to our opinions freely? So this is what we are seeing. More and more countries are even congratulating the president-elect. This is the fact.
United States,
even Ukraine, I was surprised. Ukraine wants friends from where he can find them. Ukraine has congratulated the president. The Americans have congratulated the president. But some people are now trying to make it look like, oh, the EU. It is not in their place to call for the sack of the INEC chairman. And they are saying there was no time that they had a partnership with the Nigerian NGO that it claimed that it authored this position with, or this statement with. So we have to be careful in the coming days because more and more fake news would be on social media especially. That is the favorite hunting ground for fake news. That's where every never-do-well sees himself as a journalist. They even teach us how to do the job.
Yes, yes.
Because some of us chose not to be like some ill-trained journalists who come on TV to spew absolute nonsense. They think that they can even teach us how to do the job. They say, look, they judge us.
Because their candidate Peter Obi did. Because their candidate Peter Obi did not win. The God, are you there? Are you existing?
Well, I think first of all on the EU report, if people are not lazy, you can get the report. I have it here on my system. Just Google it and then you have the report. The EU has 110 observers. Then it has 14 long-term observers, and then 96 short-term observers, and 11 core team. If you read the report of the EU, it's a kind of SWOT analysis. It talks about the strength, talks about the weaknesses, then talks about the opportunities, and then the threats. You even see where the EU admits the gains of this election.
It's not in their character to call for cancellation.
It's not in the mandate of the European Union.
Yes.
In any country.
Observer groups.
Even countries in
war. Part of their framework.
To now call for cancellation. Even the worst election all over the world. You know, the EU cannot, has no mandate. Even the United Nations cannot call for cancellation of any election. And of course, the EU is not the only observer. We also had observers from ECOWAS. We had observers from AU, who also commended the election and also stated the other areas that they think there's need for improvement. And this has been the standard since 1959, general election 64, 83, there will always be weaknesses. Well, let me admit that this election, why it seems there have been, preponderance of people talking about shortcomings, is that we are now in the age of overwhelming social media, which we never had in 1999. Apart from that, we are using beavers profoundly for the first time, now on a national scale. I mean, this is like we have, about, so it means that the idea of people snatching ballot boxes, people writing things that they used to do in those days, write with figures with their hands, those things are no longer there. Yeah. So, and then the issue is about beavers. Immediately you are voting, it's transmitted into, but if that does not happen, that does not automatically nullify the fact that there's a raw copy.
You have a form ECHA to fall back on.
The agents of the parties, yes, even the agent of the party can sign the document. Yes. Where there are irregularities, but the issue is whether are they substantial enough? Is there substantial compliance on the part of INEC? If you put down even all the video they are sharing and all that, I don't think they can be up to maybe 2,000 compared with 176,000 polling units.
Stations, yes.
So the whole cannot be greater than the part. So I think we should purge ourselves on primordial sentiments. That if my candidate does not win, then we need to kill the whole system.
The question I was asking a friend of mine, I said, okay, there are 19 states in northern Nigeria. Those states, in terms of land mass, are way bigger than southern Nigeria. In fact, one local government in some of the northern states is bigger than a whole state in southern Nigeria. I said, how many complaints of irregularities are you hearing from the north? Or are they less Nigerian than the rest of us? Because in that north, APC was well beaten. This is a fact.
Yeah.
In the whole of the Northwest, APC won only 2 states out of 7.
Yeah.
In the Northeast, APC won only 1 state. Borno.
Even lost Joby, where the chairman comes from.
Yes. So I said, how many complaints have you received? The fact that we had complaints in some places, and sometimes the minority is usually louder than the majority. That does not mean that this election was so bad. Yeah. An election where...
That should affect 196,000.
An election where billionaire senators did not find a way to manipulate the process and be re-elected.
Governors.
An election in which not less than 6 governors could not win election into Senate. One even came third.
Yeah.
You want me to believe that is the worst election in history? Atiku knows in his heart that he's been dishonest by saying this is the worst election in history. An election that he and his boss, Obasanjo, midwifed in 2003. You can't compare with this one. 2007, you can't compare with this one, where even the beneficiary was so disturbed about the way it went that he now said, okay, this election that produced me is full of irregularities. Let us reform the electoral system. That was how the Waste Committee came. That was how Jega was part of the Waste Committee. And Jonathan went for him and made him, he pleaded with him, sent people to him and made Jega his INEC chairman. People now want us to believe that an election where, in fact, incumbents were being defeated as if it's nothing, that it is the worst.
The national chairman of APC in Nasarawa State.
In his polling booth. And he didn't change the figures. In the past, they would not allow that. They would simply write the figures. In the past, we'll see 1 million plus from Rivers, the material. By the time INEC waited to obey the court's order
to mobilize
and then mobilize fresh drivers, won't it take time? So these are some of the issues. The election was by and large free and fair. That is the truth.
In a largely cash-driven economy,